In Willow Creek, Tennessee, 28-year-old Lena Hart thought she had everything she'd ever wanted: a devoted husband, Ethan Cole, a beautiful home, and a marriage built on trust. But what she didn't know was that her entire life, the love she cherished, the family she grieved, was built on a nightmare. And the monster behind it all was the woman she called Mom. It was supposed to be perfect. Lena and Ethan's one-year wedding anniversary. Friends filled the house, laughter spilling out onto the porch where string lights glowed in the warm southern air. Even Margaret Hart, Lena's 52-year-old mother, was there, raising a glass to her daughter's happiness. The music was loud. The drinks flowed. And for a while, Lena believed she was living the dream. But dreams end. And the nightmare began just after midnight. While most of the guests stumbled to spare bedrooms or fell asleep on the patio, Margaret disappeared. Not to bed, but to Ethan's room. Drunk. Vulnerable. And that night, they crossed the line no family should ever cross. The next morning, whispers started. A neighbor swore they saw Margaret leaving Ethan's room. Lena laughed it off, until she found the text messages. "Last night can't happen again," Ethan wrote. "You didn't say that last night," Margaret replied. Lena's world shattered. When she confronted them, Margaret didn't flinch. "I raised you," Margaret said coldly. "You wouldn't even have a husband if it weren't for me. Maybe now you'll learn to share." Lena didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just stared. Something in her broke that day. And she wasn't the only one. Because the truth wasn't done with her yet. Weeks later, while Lena drowned in anger, Ethan vanished. Police searched. No leads. Then Margaret vanished too. And that's when the real story began to unravel. Detectives uncovered what no one in Willow Creek could believe. Margaret wasn't Lena's mother at all. 26 years earlier, when Lena was just 2 years old, Margaret poisoned her real mother, Claire Hart, out of jealousy. Why? Because Margaret was in love with Daniel Hart, Lena's father. They'd been close in high school, but Daniel loved Claire instead. Margaret couldn't have him, so she destroyed everything. She poisoned Claire. She kidnapped Daniel. And she raised Lena as her own, a trophy of her twisted victory. But the horror didn't end there. Margaret had another victim. Harold Cole, Ethan's father. Margaret seduced and blackmailed him for decades, forcing him into an unholy pact. At one point, she even tried to kill Ethan's mother, but Harold stopped her. To keep his family safe, Harold obeyed Margaret. And when Ethan met Lena, Harold realized Margaret had orchestrated it. But the one thing she couldn't control? Ethan's love for Lena. That part was real. Ethan had been missing for 2 weeks when police found the farmhouse. Inside, they discovered Daniel, Lena's father, alive after 26 years of captivity. And chained beside him, Ethan. Ethan recognized Daniel instantly. Margaret had told him everything. She used to gloat, feeding Ethan updates on Lena's life like a cat toying with a mouse. Margaret's men guarded them, but Ethan and Daniel made a plan. One night, they drugged her thugs, escaped through the woods, and flagged down a passing truck. By dawn, they were free. But Margaret, she vanished. It wasn't over. 2 months later, Margaret resurfaced. She didn't run. She didn't hide. She went straight for Lena. It was a stormy night when Margaret broke into Lena's apartment, gun in hand. But she wasn't alone. Police had been tracking her. As Margaret raised the gun, an officer fired. She collapsed, blood on her lips, and with her final breath, she looked at Lena and whispered, "Everything I stole from your mother, it's yours now. A woman will bring you the papers. I hope I rot in hell, because I won't ask for your forgiveness." And then she was gone. In the weeks that followed, Lena and Ethan tried to rebuild. Daniel came home, broken but alive. Harold confessed his role in Margaret's schemes. And then came the key. A key Harold had hidden for years. It led to Margaret's storage unit. Inside was a single journal, Margaret's confession. "If I couldn't have Daniel, I'd take everything he loved. And I did. I raised his daughter. I even made Harold my puppet. But Ethan, he loves her. And that's fine. Because even in hate, I win." Lena was pregnant. But fear gnawed at her. Margaret had manipulated so many lives. What if she had one last cruel twist? She ordered a DNA test. When the envelope arrived, Lena could barely breathe. Ethan held her hand. She tore it open. Negative for Harold. Ethan was the father. Lena collapsed into Ethan's arms, sobbing in relief. Margaret's game was over. Before they left Margaret behind forever, Lena returned to the farmhouse one last time. This time, it wasn't fear that brought her there. It was closure. And in the silence of that decaying place, she whispered, "You didn't win. Not this time." Willow Creek was quiet. Lena stood in her living room, rocking her newborn daughter, Claire, named after her real mother. Ethan kissed her forehead. Daniel, finally free, lived with them. Even Harold visited often, quietly trying to mend what Margaret had broken. For the first time in her life, Lena felt whole. Because in the end, Margaret didn't destroy her. She made her stronger. And Lena's daughter? She'd never grow up in Margaret's shadow. If you were Lena, would you ever be able to forgive Ethan's father for keeping Margaret's secrets? Or is that betrayal unforgivable? Margaret stole Lena's childhood, her parents, and nearly her marriage. Do you believe some people are just born evil, or do they become monsters over time? Let's hear your opinion in the comments section.